Welcome to Between the Hashes, a football podcast where we discuss predictions, news, and anything in between. I'm your co-host Noah, along with Jake and Tyler. For our first episode of the podcast, we will be talking about the AFC West and the AFC East. This includes game-by-game predictions and standing predictions.
Okay, so the first team we're going to be talking about is the Chargers. So kind of the offseason for the Chargers, they lost their main quarterback, who had been their quarterback for a really long time, in Phillip Rivers. So now their quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, and they also drafted Justin Herbert. The Chargers strengthened their defense during the offseason with the addition of Chris Harris Jr. and Linval Joseph. So their defense this year is looking to be a top 10 defense. So to start off, so Chargers' first game of the year is at the Bengals. So it's looking to be the first career game for Joe Burrow. So I have a win for this game.
Who do you think will be starting, Herbert or Taylor?
I expect it to be Taylor. Tyrod Taylor has a really good relationship with Anthony Lynn. Anthony Lynn was his coach for a little while back when he was on the Bills, and the Chargers staff seemed to have a lot of confidence in Tyrod Taylor.
If you see Herbert, unless the Chargers, Taylor, Mark, tell me when in the season you see Herbert coming in, if at all.
Yeah,
I will. Yeah, I'll tell you when we get there on the schedule. So week 2 we have the Kansas City Chiefs. The Kansas City Chiefs they've had the Chargers number for the last couple of years, so I don't see the Chargers having enough to stop Patrick Mahomes and company. So I'm giving the Chiefs a win there. Week 3 at home against the Panthers. Teddy Bridgewater hasn't really proven himself yet. The games he played last year, he had a really, really conservative playbook. He didn't have to do much with the pieces he had around him, so I'm not so confident in him, so I'm going to give the Chargers a win there.
Especially going from Michael Thomas to Robbie Anderson, it's a big loss on the receiver front.
That is true, although he still has a very good running back in Christian McCaffrey. So week 4, the Chargers are at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. As everyone knows, the Buccaneers recently signed Tom Brady. Rob Gronkowski is now on the Buccaneers, and they have probably the best wide receiver duo in the NFL with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. So I think that's going to be just too much for the Chargers to handle. So I'm giving them a loss there. So now moving on to week 5, the Chargers are at the New Orleans Saints on the road in the Superdome, which is a really tough environment. Drew Brees and Kamara and Thomas, they have a really good offense. I think that's going to be a loss. Back-to-back losses on the road. Week 6, they come home against the Jets. And I think the Chargers defense is going to give Sam Darnold a hard time. I think that's going to be a win for them. So now week 7, at the Dolphins. This point, probably going to be Tua. But I think the Chargers will be able to win that one also. Next week, against the Jacksonville Jaguars, who have kind of fallen off. Many see them as the candidate for the number 1 pick going in for next year's draft. So I think that'll be a pretty easy win for the Chargers. So moving on to week 9, I think this is going to be another win for the Chargers against the Raiders. Derek Carr kind of hasn't really proven himself. The Raiders, they did improve in the offseason, but not enough to contend in such a tough division this year. The Chargers go away to the Broncos following their bye. I think that is a loss. Mile High Stadium is a difficult stadium to play in, and I think Drew Lock and the improved Broncos are going to be really good this year. Week 12, the Chargers go to the Bills. I think that's going to be a loss also. Even though Josh Allen hasn't been a great quarterback, the Bills still do have really good defense. They've improved with Stephon Diggs, and the Bills are good at home. Week 13, against Bill Belichick. I see a win here. The Patriots lost Tom Brady, and I don't think they're going to be the same with Jared Stidham at quarterback. And then I also see the Chargers winning against the Falcons. The Falcons don't really have a defense. They have a very good offense, but the Chargers have a good defense. So I think they'll be able to stop that enough for Tyrod Taylor to help him get the win. Or in this case, it could be Justin Herbert. So I think if the Chargers are struggling, I think kind of week 13, week 14, maybe even week 15 is kind of the area where Justin Herbert kind of starts to get a chance because they will be out of the playoff picture. I think the Chargers lose at the Raiders. The Raiders in Las Vegas now. I just think typically the Chargers have a tough time sweeping in the division. And then I see the Chargers beating the Broncos, as I mentioned, that it's hard for teams to sweep. And I think the Chargers will give Drew Lock some payback. And then to finish off the season at KC, I think that's a loss. Tough environment, cold weather, and I think Patrick Mahomes will get the win there. So that is a final record of 9-7. I see them kind of borderline final playoff spot or just out of the picture this year.
Anything you want to say, Noah, in response?
I think he covered it well. We have to keep on. So.
When do you think, if so, that Justin Herbert will make his first career start?
As I kind of said, I think it could be around kind of the week 13 range, just when coming off a couple weeks after the bye. I think if they're losing games there, if they're not seeing that they'll be in playoff contention, or if Tyrod Taylor just doesn't look good, I think that's around the range.
Definitely agree.
That he will
as most teams are a little bit streaky. We have 2 straight losses, some points, and 4 straight wins. So let's move on to the Kansas City Chiefs. Here we have a week 1 opening night of NFL season, Thursday night game against the Houston Texans, who had a particularly very bad offseason, as most NFL fans know, losing best receiver in the NFL in DeAndre Hopkins. And honestly, they didn't get much back. So I'm going to give the Chiefs a win for there. In LA, again, Tyler mentioned it before. I just think Mahomes and company are too strong. Their defense has improved this year. Their running game has improved again this year, and Mahomes is just one of the best players in the NFL, if not the best. So that's another win. This game is a game that everyone is marking on their schedules to watch, especially these 2 teams. They battled it out last year. It's a Monday night primetime game. Chiefs are coming off 2 wins. They're looking strong. I think they're going to have another 3rd one here, and it's going to be a Mahomes-Lamar duel, but I actually think it's going to be pretty low scoring, and it's going to go the Chiefs' way. Here they're going into New England, facing Jared Stidham, and it's only his 4th career NFL start. I think even though New England's tough environment to play and they're not ready to win yet, another win for the Chiefs. Here we go in their first time in Las Vegas. Again, the Raiders have improved. They have all done this stuff, but I think Chiefs are strong enough here. At Buffalo, another game that everyone's marking down on their calendars, Thursday night game. Big trend here that you're seeing is a lot of primetime games. They're one of the most popular teams in the league. They just won the Super Bowl. They have the MVP. They have the face of the league, and Mahomes. You're going to see a lot of primetime games and a lot of games against good teams against primetime. I think they're going to pick up their first loss here at Buffalo. It's one of the toughest places to play in the NFL for sure. Their fans are great. Denver, I think they're going to pick up another loss here. I think Drew Lock and company are going to be too much. They're going to overpower them in Denver. Coming off a tough loss, even though Andy Reid is great off losses, and it's an extended week. I just think this is going to be a tough point of the schedule right here at Buffalo, at Denver. Now they're going to travel, go back home to face the Jets. I think the Jets are a team that has improved this offseason. Obviously, the whole thing with Jamal Adams came out today, so we don't know how that's going to play out. with Jamal Adams, without Jamal Adams, Chiefs are a way better team. They're winning this one here. Week 9 versus Carolina. I think they're also going to pick up a win here. The Carolina just has hired Matt Rule, got Robbie Anderson, signed C-Mac to a giant extension, Teddy Bridgewater, but I give it a few more years until they're ready to have serious playoff contention. We got the bye and then into Las Vegas. They're going to pick up another win here. Then they're going to travel to Tampa Bay to face the first of many matchups anticipated between Mahomes and Brady. I think it's going to be a hard-fought game because Tampa Bay's at home, because it's going to be highly anticipated. Bruce Arians is going to have his team very well prepared. I'm going to go with Tampa Bay here. Then we're going to Denver. Going back home to face Denver. They lost at Denver their first time. This one's another primetime game. I think they're going to come away with this one with a win. They're not going to get swept. Here at Miami. Miami's, again, Tua, Brian Flores is a good coach. They got a crazy amount of draft picks this year. They had a great offseason with Byron Jones, etc., but they're not ready to win yet. At New Orleans, this is a big game. Mahomes versus any top quarterback is, again, a great matchup. These two teams have battled out in the past and have had really high-scoring games. I think this one's going to go to New Orleans, though, in the Superdome. Extremely hard place to play. Here we go versus Atlanta. Atlanta has practically no defense. Their offense is, again, one of the top best, I would say top 15, top 10, but Mahomes is probably going to put up 40 points against that defense. And finally, against the Chargers, I think we're going to finish here with a sweep, and they're going to finish with a final record of 12-4.
So I have a question.
Yes.
So they have a bunch of winning streaks, I see, and winning streaks are hard to keep in the NFL. What are some trackings that you mark down as wins but are possible losses that you see?
I would say easily the at Las Vegas. It's a primetime game in Las Vegas. It's going to be a highly intense watched game. Raider fans are big. I would say after a loss here at it versus Atlanta, I think it's either going to be one of those games where it's a blowout or it's going to be a bust. Obviously, Baltimore.
I think it will be interesting to also see to see the Raiders, how many fans the Raiders really have now that they're moving on to Las Vegas. How many of the fans come with
out
them?
of the stadium? I mean, we don't know.
That is true.
They're all obviously Baltimore. It's a coin flip game. I just went with Mahomes and company because that's who I think is a stronger team right now. But it's obviously a coin flip. Anything else?
Nope, that is it.
All right, Raiders.
We have the Las Vegas Raiders in their new stadium, Allegiant Stadium in Vegas. There's some key additions for the Raiders this year. They added a couple linebackers, Littleton and Kwiatkowski, along with some offensive weapons, Nelson Aguilar, Henry Ruggs III, Jason Witten. And they made an interesting signing Marcus Mariota to back up Derek Carr. Is there many questions? Derek Carr's inconsistency, as they had a very good season a few years back, and Derek Carr got hurt, and they haven't really replicated that success. And they also have some questions at cornerback, as they were unable to address that in free agency, as they lost Darryl Worley in free agency as well. So starting off the schedule, I think they get a favorable matchup against the Panthers, and they come out with a W. So then big game, prime time, first home game in Vegas, all the bettors coming out to see what the Raiders are actually like. And Drew Brees and company are motivated. I think that's a loss for the Raiders. And then they get a win in Foxborough against the Patriots, as they're feeling motivated off the loss at home. And then so they have a tough stretch the next 3 games against 3 possible playoff teams, very hyped teams. And I think they lose to Buffalo and they lose to Kansas City. And that's 2 losses going into the bye. And they're also 0-2 at home, so that week 7 they're very motivated. Primetime game against Tom Brady and the Buccaneers, and they come out with the victory.
Very early bye week have some benefits and also has some downfalls that we've seen in previous years.
A blessing and a curse. So I think they ride that wave to Cleveland, and they got the victory in Cleveland.
Interesting.
And then they travel. To Los Angeles, and I think divisional games were on the road, very difficult, and I think they lose. And then they get 2 more tough divisional games against the Broncos and against the Chiefs, and I think they kind of fall into schneid as Derek Carr struggles a little bit against tough defenses and a high-powered offense in Kansas City. But then they get a bounce-back win in Atlanta. And then it's kind of a trap game against the New York Jets as they fly. They've been on the road away from home for a while as they go to Atlanta up to New York, and they lose. They lose in New York. And then, again, they're motivated at home in front of their Vegas fans, where they have kind of struggled at home this season, only get a couple wins, and they get the win there. And they also get the win on Thursday night against the Chargers, a revenge game in front of the fans again. And then another trap game where they're sitting at 7-7, and the Dolphins come into and they defeat them. And then the Broncos, who are most likely fighting for a playoff spot, they win. The Broncos win in Denver, and that finishes the Raiders at 7-9 for the season.
Yeah, I think the Raiders just have they have a lot of competition in the AFC West this year. There's a lot of good teams in the AFC West that have improved. Yeah,
probably best division in the NFL, one of the hardest schedules in the NFL, and also a common question here with these bubble teams are: when do you think, and if so, Mariota comes in and gets his first start as a Raider?
Well, I think they have the 3-game losing streak against the divisional opponents, but I think Gruden sticks with Carr throughout the season. But questions after the season persist around Carr and Gruden as they kind of finish mediocre again.
Even after the Week 16 loss at home versus the Dolphins?
Yeah, I mean, I think Gruden still sees Carr as a guy, but there's questions about both of them individually and together, and I think they will persist after this year.
Let's move on to our last AFC West team with the Broncos.
Talking about the Broncos, they had a really good offseason. The Broncos lost Chris Harris Jr. He was their main loss, but they brought a lot in. They traded for A.J. Bouye to try to make up for that. A.J. Bouye kind of had a tough year last year, but they're hoping that he can rebound. They also got Jarrell Casey to help in the defensive line. And then in the draft, they got 2 weapons to help out Drew Lock and Jerry Jeudy, and they also got KJ Hamler. So I think the Broncos are a really, really underrated team. Right now, they're in Vegas. They're over under 7.5 wins. So I think that's pretty low. I think they should easily be able to get more than 7.5 wins. Starting off week 1, Tennessee was kind of a surprising team last year. They beat the Patriots in the playoffs. But I think the Broncos will be able to handle it. They'll show everyone that they're actually a good team. They'll show everyone that they can go far this year. So week 2, against the Steelers are kind of had a tough year last year at the loss of Big Ben. I think when he comes back, that'll really help the Steelers become what they were previously. So I think they will lose there. Next game at home against the Buccaneers, Tom Brady and that just prolific offense, I think it's too much. So I'm going to give them another loss there. Then they go on the road to the Jets. I think it'll be a pretty easy win, actually. I think the Denver defense will shut down the Sam Darnold and Le'Veon Bell, and I think Drew Lock will have a really good game on Thursday Night Football when everyone's watching. Week 5, Patriots. It's a tough environment to go to, Foxborough, but I think without Tom Brady, the Patriots are just not as scary of a team anymore, and I think it's a winnable game, so I'm giving the Broncos the win there. Week 6, it's another win at the Dolphins. Dolphins they've improved, but they're still not to the Broncos level at this point. Week 7, it's a loss for me. I think the Broncos will be able to compete with the Chiefs this year, but I just don't have enough confidence in Drew Lock yet. Then I see them beating Atlanta. Like I said before, Atlanta's defense is not very good. Their offense is good, but Broncos have a good defense with Von Miller and now Bradley Chubb coming back this year off injury. So I think that's a win. And then they go to Oakland, and I think that's another win. Divisional matchup, but I think they get it done.
Then home against Vegas, not Oakland.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. Vegas. And then I think they also beat the Chargers. Home game. In Denver is a really tough stadium to play with the high altitude and the fans, so I think that's a win. And then they have 2 tough games back to back, and I'm giving them losses in both of them. Saints are just a really tough team to play, and Kansas City, I just think they're really difficult. I think there's a chance that Denver can win one of these games, but I'm giving them losses in both of them against Kansas City this year. The Panthers defense just is not good enough to stop the improved Broncos offense. Now they also have Melvin Gordon, so that's a win. And I see the next week in a tough matchup against Buffalo. I think the Broncos will pull it off. It's really going to be a battle of which quarterback can do better, and I think Drew Lock will be able to prevail over Josh Allen. And then once they go to Los Angeles, I think that's a loss. It's a revenge game for the Chargers, and the Chargers will kind of have figured Drew Lock out by then. And then I see the Broncos ending the year with a win home against the Raiders. The Raiders just Derek Carr, and at this point it could be Mariota depending on how he does, but the Derek Carr just doesn't have as good enough weapons around him. So that is a final record of 10-6 for the Broncos this year. I view them as a wild card team.
So Tyler, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So Drew Lock had a pretty successful year, like achieved expectations last year. But like some people don't feel as confident as like others do regarding Drew Lock next year, like winning some big games, big divisional matchups. Like, where's your confidence in Drew Lock coming from?
Yeah, I mean, watching Drew Lock came in towards the end of last year, started off well right away with a win against the Chargers, and he really played well in the games he played. And watching the film, he had some kind of like bad tendencies as rookies would have. He liked to throw off his back foot a lot, but he made pretty good decisions overall, and he was making really good throws, and he kind of helped the offense improve from where they were without him. So I think if anything he should improve this year, and especially since now he has Jerry Jeudy and KJ Hamler added to the offense with Courtland Sutton and Noah Fant. I think that he will really improve and help the Broncos offense. Oh, and now they have a better defense, so I think that's another reason why they're going to be so much better. Any other questions?
That's it. All right.
So as from our predictions, we have the Chiefs finishing in first place at 12-4, the Broncos in second at 10-6, Chargers at 9-7 in third place, and the Raiders finishing in last place with a 7-9 record. And none of these are really bad records.
Potential 3 playoff division here.
Yeah, it is.
With the 7-team playoff with the extra seed.
All right, now let's move on to the AFC East with the New York Jets. All right, so the Jets are a team that has improved a decent amount this offseason, with Joe Douglas being looked at as one of the superior GMs in the NFL. They had, at least for me and for most people, a great draft. Trading down, a move that stands out for me is trading down to get Denzel Mims, and they took a risk and traded down 11 spots and got one of the best wide receivers in this class that's not named Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. Le'Veon Bell obviously did not have an extremely good season last year, but it is also because they had the 31st best O-line, which is obviously the second worst O-line in the NFL. And they had a pretty bad offense in total last year, with Adam Gase being seen as one of the worst coaches in the NFL. Darnold had mono. Le'Veon wasn't as good as he should have been, and one of the worst O-lines. But coming into week 1 here, the Bills are extremely overhyped. I do think they are a 10-6, 11-5 team, but I don't think they're as good as people say so. I think the Jets are going to be motivated. I think they take this win in week 1 here on the road. Week 2, we have San Francisco. I think it's at home. They're going to be pumped up, but the 49ers is going to be too much for them, and I see them taking a loss here. The Colts are another wild card-ish team that no one really knows. They had a great draft, drafting both Pittman and Jonathan Taylor in the second round, which is extremely, extremely valuable picks right there. I'm seeing the Jets having a loss here. This is a tough one at home against Drew Lock and the Broncos. Tyler just talked about them. Thursday Night Football, Darnold is trying to get revenge for what happened last year. On Monday Night Football against the Patriots, obviously that was a disaster in its own. But I actually think they're going to come away with a win here. Have a nice statement win in front of everyone. Darnold's going to have a nice game, etc., etc. Here against the Cardinals at home again, I think they're going to win this game. The Cardinals we don't know. We think they're going to be good, but we don't really know exactly, as they obviously added D-Hop and it got better. They drafted Isaiah Simmons, which is a huge draft for them. So, but I do think the Jets are going to beat them this time at home. Here they're traveling to Los Angeles to face the Chargers and Justin Herbert / Tyrod Taylor. They've improved a lot too. Their defense is probably top 10, maybe even bordering that top 5 level. Casey Hayward he's good, but he's a little overrated. I think that they're actually going to take this win too and have a nice 3-game win streak here, riding that big, huge win Thursday Night Football against Drew Lock. Against the Bills here at home, I do not think they can sweep. I think they're going to split the season series, but home and away, each team's going to win on their road.
I think that's a trend you find with a lot of teams in division play. It's really hard to sweep.
Yeah. Here we go. The Chiefs, probably the best team in the NFL, arguably. The best player in the NFL, arguably. Away, the Jets are not winning this game. I think it's going to be a blowout. Here come the Patriots. Always a tough play. Jets-Patriots, one of the top rivalries in the NFL. Obviously, no Tom Brady to haunt the Jets fans, but Jared Stidham and Bill Belichick, I think, are going to get this one done on Monday Night Football at home. Week 10 here, right before the bye. I think the Jets are also going to lose this game. Have a hard 4-game lose streak. They're going to lose a 4-5 game in Miami against the Dolphins. They're going to come with a bye week. This is a point where I think that if it was going to happen, Adam Gase would be fired right here. I think most Jets fans want him to be gone. They really don't like him. And they think a good choice for hiring is their defensive coordinator right now, Greg Williams, who the team loves, fans love. So I think if that was going to happen, it's going to happen right here. Coming off that bye, they're going to win against the Dolphins. They have a back-to-back here against the Dolphins. This one's at home. They're going to win that game. The Raiders, last year they beat up on the Raiders. They had over a 30-point win. They had a great game overall defensively. Offensively, I think they're going to do the same thing here. Maybe not in that fashion, but I think they're going to get it done. Seahawks on the road, they're not what they used to be, but they're still probably a top 5, one of the hardest places to play. Playoff team for sure, 10-6, 11-5, whatever. Russell Wilson, top 5 player in the league for sure. And this is a Rams game where it could go either way, but I do have the Jets losing this game on the road against the Rams. Now, against the Browns, this was the first game last year where Sam Darnold did not play because of mono. Trevor Siemian started this game, but after 2 quarters, he broke his leg, and Luke Falk had to come in. No one was expecting it. They won that game 20-3, and I think the Jets are going to be mad about that, have revenge. They're going to win this game pretty closely. And I think to end the season, who knows whether they're going to be fighting for the playoffs or they're already eliminated. I think they're going to win this game in Foxborough. I think no matter how good each team is, the Jets and Patriots usually always sweep. Last year was not the case. I mean, split last year was not always the case, but I think that's what's going to happen this year. And they're going to end with a final record of 8-8, which probably will not get them into the playoffs. But with the 7th seed, you never know what's going to happen, especially with this year with COVID. And also today the Jamal Adams news came out, and nobody knows what's going to happen with that. Could be traded, could be extended, could be sitting out. It's a huge wild card there. It's a huge part of the defense, the best safety in the NFL by a good amount. Yeah.
So how do you view Sam Darnold doing this year?
I think this year is the make or break year for him. Last year, like I said, offensive problems, mono, really bad offensive line, almost no run game. The only good part about the Jets team last year was the defense, which obviously Sam Darnold does not play defense. So Adam Gase, obviously one of the worst coaches in the NFL, all these bad offensive factors, horrible wide receiver core. He had a lot of stuff that he could have leaned back on and called maybe like an excuse. This year, the wide receiver core is definitely improved with Rashad Perriman and Denzel Mims, along with upgraded O-line with Jesse Mekhi Becton with the 11th overall pick. I think he's going to have a breakout year and solidify himself as a top 20, if not maybe even top 15 QB in this league.
One more question quickly. If Jamal Adams is traded, what does that affect the record? And what is the record without Jamal
It depends what they get back. If they get back only picks, then I think they're going to fall down to 6-10, 7-9 area. Lose some of these tight games that they originally would have won. If they get back maybe even a CeeDee Lamb or Michael Gallup, then I think it could stay the same. All right, so now we're going to finish here with the Jets, move on to the division rival with the Bills.
The Bills are heavily regarded as the favorites to win the division this year, as the AFC East is regarded as a somewhat weak division with a lot of question marks, as every team has their own what ifs. So the Bills had their very big addition this year with Stephon Diggs in the trade, getting Josh Allen a weapon. They also added Mario Addison and drafted AJ Epinesa on the edge to replace the losses of Shaq Lawson and Lorenzo Alexander. And they also signed Josh Norman, who has been a question mark the last few years. But the main question for Buffalo is Josh Allen, as he has shown a lack of consistency and accuracy his first 2 years in the league, as he has never thrown for over 300 yards in the game, and it was 33rd in completion percentage last year. And the Bills lean largely upon their defense, so the Bills are hoping with the addition of Stephon Diggs and just experience, Josh Allen will have a breakout year. So starting off week 1. So the Bills are, as I stated, heavily regarded as the divisional favorites, and I feel like the Jets feel like they have nothing to lose, and they win. So the Bills lose week 1, and then the Bills are highly motivated now. They got kicked on their side, and now their confidence is not as high, but they feel motivated. So they kind of have a stretch here where beatable opponents. So they beat the Dolphins with Ryan Fitzpatrick starting, as I don't think Tua's in yet. And then home game against the Rams, I think they come out on top of that, as their defense is stalwart Jared Goff and that questionable offense. And they go to Las Vegas, and they're running a 2-game win streak. They're playing well. They get the victory there. So now they have a tough back-to-back against the 2 teams in the AFC Championship from last year. In Tennessee, they get humbled and they lose. And a big Thursday night game at home against the Chiefs. I don't think they could pull it out. I think the Chiefs defense is enough to stop Allen, while the Chiefs offense is too much of this strong Bills defense. Coming off 2 losses. And a repeated theme in our predictions have been that it's very hard to sweep an opponent, a divisional opponent in a series, as they know each other very well. And that is the case with the Bills against the Jets. They go into MetLife Stadium and get the victory. And then they have a home game against the Patriots. They ride that wave and they win. They're coming off a 2-game winning streak. They have a very, very big game against the Seattle Seahawks at home. The Buffalo crowd is getting them pumped up. It's a very close game. and the Bills pull it out, a very defining moment of their season. They're riding their second 3-game winning streak of the year. And then they kind of have a letdown game against the Cardinals, and they lose in Arizona. So then they have the bye week where they rest up, and they come out strong at home against the Chargers. They win. And a very, very tough matchup, primetime away against San Francisco, hostile environment. They don't pull it out. And then they have another primetime game at home, and they are very motivated. They are experienced in primetime. They come out with a victory. And then they get the win in Denver. It's a very big matchup for them. But I think that their defense foils Drew Lock, and they get the – so then, once again, divisional opponents, very difficult to sweep. And Bill Belichick, still, even without Tom Brady, is a very difficult coach to play against. He comes up with a scheme. Josh Allen struggles, they lose. And then they have a big game at home to solidify their playoff position, and they win against the Dolphins, and they finish the year 10-6. So Josh Allen, I think, shows signs of improvement. Still margin for error as defensive coordinators figure out ways to stall him, but I think he takes some steps forward, and it will be a competition between him and Darnold and Tua when he comes back to see who is the new Tom Brady of the AFC East.
So, how do you think the addition of Stephon Diggs is gonna help Allen and the Bills in general?
Like I said, the addition of Stephon Diggs is big, as Josh Allen was struggling, but his receivers also had a lot of drops during his first 2 seasons. So I think the addition of Stephon Diggs elevates him, helps him against helps him in tough matchups, like in Denver. It's always good to have the guys to rely on, like who you trust to make the big catches. And I think that helps him get an extra win too.
So a few things here. I know Noah had the Bills losing to the Titans here. I disagree with that game. Obviously, the Titans were AFC Championship last year. They got carried by Derrick Henry. Tannehill got signed to a massive contract. I think it wasn't one and done, but I don't think they're going to be quite as dominant as they were last year, specifically in the playoffs, as, again, they got carried by Henry. And if anyone were to do it again, it would be him. But I think they're going to be 9-7 as a peak 10-6. I just don't think they're going to be as dominant as they were last year. And also, Josh Allen, as most people are and most people aren't, I'm on the side of I think he is not the answer for the Bills. Most Bills fans love him. Most NFL fans think he's great, but his advanced stats are horrible, some of the worst in the league. Maybe outwardly because they made the playoffs last year, he looks like a solid QB, but just behind, it's him and Mitch Trubisky are kind of basically the same guy for me, except for Allen has one more level up for the running game and has done it in some good game and has done it when it mattered, unlike Trubisky.
Yeah, I think for Allen, the running, his ability to run really helps him stand out and look better than he is.
So you predict that the Titans are going 9-7, correct?
Or what? Going 9-7, 10-6, yes.
So if they go 9-7 next year, that would be the 5th straight year they go 9-7.
Wow.
Yeah, they're known for being decent but not great.
So you claim they would have been a 1-year wonder, but that would be the same record that they would have had last year. They just have the good run in playoffs.
1-year wonder, but
So,
1-year wonder. I don't think they're going to AFC Championship, nor does most people. Now we're going to move to the Tom Brady-less Patriots.
Yeah, so the big news for the Patriots in the offseason, they lost Tom Brady. He went to the Buccaneers. And the Patriots also lost some key pieces on defense in Jamie Collins, Kyle Van Noy, and a couple of pieces on the defensive line. They did add Adrian Phillips and Bo Allen to try to make up for those losses. But they're definitely going to struggle more this year without Tom Brady. So their first game against the Dolphins, I think it's a good way for Jarrett Stidham to start it off. I think it's a win. Dolphins could be Fitzpatrick starting, could be Tua. We'll get to that later. But I think it's a win for the Patriots, especially since it's at home. So week 2, I think it's a loss. You know, the Seahawks are a tough matchup, especially since it's on the road. We know Seattle's such a tough environment to play in. And I think this Russell Wilson is able to do enough against the Patriots defense, and Stidham is kind of going to struggle in the tough environment. I think against the Raiders, it's a win. Oakland improved a little, but Carr is not going to be able to do much against that defense, which I still see as being in the top 10. I think against the Chiefs, it's a loss. At Kansas City is really difficult to play in, and the Chiefs are just going to be too much. And then I think Denver is also a loss. Drew Lock, as I mentioned, really improved. Showed some bright spots last year, and the Broncos, I think, will beat the Patriots. And then this is kind of the tough stretch. They have San Francisco, which I think is another loss. San Francisco just showed last year that their defense was dominant. Stidham's not going to be able to do much against them, and the run game is strong. So I think the Patriots are going to struggle. And then at Buffalo, I think that's another loss. Once again, we said tough environment to play in. Bill's defense is really good, and I think Josh Allen will be able to get enough done to beat the Patriots. So 4 losses in a row here. Bill Belichick, he's going to find a way to beat the Jets right here. Even though it's away, it's a win. The Patriots, their walls are to the back, their backs are to the wall, and they need a win, so they're going to get one. Their defense is really going to help them in this game. And then they play Baltimore at home. That's a loss. Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, and that great defense, just way too much. It's going to be a blowout, I think. The Texans really had a really bad offseason, as Jake mentioned earlier. I think that's going to be a win. The defense is gonna stop Deshaun Watson, and the Texans defense just is not good enough. So I think Stidham will be able to put up some points. And I think it's a win against the Cardinals also. The Cardinals really improved, but their defense still definitely has some question marks. And Patriots' strong suit is their defense, so I think their defense will be able to stop DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray. The Chargers, I think it's a loss. Chargers really have a good overall roster, good defense, and a pretty good offense, so I think they will pull out the win. Rams, that's going to be a close one, I think, but I'm going to give the win to the Patriots. The Rams kind of are struggling. They struggled last year. They lost a lot of key pieces, so I'm not sure how they're going to be this year. The Dolphins, I think it's going to be a loss. As we mentioned, division games can be very tricky, and I think this is kind of going to be a trap game in a way. It'll be a loss, as what happened to the Patriots last year, Week 17. Buffalo, it's going to be a win. They had already lost to them, so they're going to get some payback here. And then I think to end the year, they're going to lose to the Jets. It's going to be another payback game for the Jets. Can you hear me, Jake? So yeah. Go back, Jake. Go back. Just so I'll do it again. Just one. Yeah. So to end the year, I think the Patriots are going to lose to the Jets. Payback game for the Jets and Sam Darnold. At home, Patriots kind of get surprised by the Jets. So that leaves them with the overall record of 7-9. I just think the loss of Tom Brady is going to be too much. And the Patriots just have the hardest schedule in the NFL. So it's going to be really hard for them to perform, as some people are still expecting.
A few thoughts here. I think Bill Belichick is obviously probably the best coach in the NFL by a decent amount. He's a mastermind. Jarrett Stidham, no one believes in him. Everyone thinks he's one of the worst QBs in the league, as they should, because he has no experience. No one really knows much about him. His only playing time last year, he threw 2 passes. One of them was a pick 6.
Yes.
I think that any one of the Patriots roster that's been there for this long, when coached by Belichick and McDaniels, is a threat. You always got to be, even though he's not the biggest guy, not the best guy, you always got to be scared of that the Patriots doing something with him that's very special, making him a system quarterback, whatever. We always got to be scared of that dynasty threat.
Yeah, I think with Stidham, it's in the games he played in the preseason, he struggled with his decision making. I think that's going to be a big kind of factor. He's got to make better passes, not make the risky throws, because he has been turnover prone. And if he can avoid mistakes and improve as compared to what he did last year in his little playing time, the Patriots may be able to do a little better.
One thing I see here.
Just to add one more thing. I think you can make the parallel between the Patriots and the Bills, as they both have very strong defenses, like a lot of continuity on that side of the ball, but a lot of question marks on the offensive end, specifically at quarterback, consistency. I think for the differences for Buffalo, the question marks are not as severe. As Josh Allen has already been in the league, he's been there, done that a couple years, and he also has some more weapons around him as the New England still has questions at wide receiver, like Julian Edelman. Besides him, like they don't really have any big names, but you can make the parallels between the two teams.
All right, now let's move on to our last team here, coming short on time here with the Miami Dolphins. A lot of question marks. Obviously, we've been over it a little bit. The giant offseason, Byron Jones, huge contract, 3 first-round picks, headlined by Tua. You got over 10 picks in total the first round. Crazy offseason. They've improved a lot. A lot of people are fans of Brian Flores. I think Tua's not going to get the start, though. Injury problems, stuff like that. We're going to wait a little bit just to get him matured a little bit. I do think he will make appearances this year. I do not think he will start week 1. Because of that, I have them losing at the Patriots. Even though I just talked about them possibly winning that game, I think that also they could – it's a coin flip. I mean, Fitzpatrick, whatever you want to call him, he can either come out and do what he did last time, or he can lose the game. The Bills here, I think it's a no-brainer. It's a loss, even though it's at home. The Bills are too powerful right now. Jaguars are going to pick up the first win. I think that this could be Tua's first game, not necessarily. We don't know. A loss versus the Seahawks, that's probably another lopsided game. Got a really tough schedule here, really hard 3 games against the 49ers on the road, at the Broncos on the road. I think if Tua's not in by now, this is when he comes in after 3 straight losses to 3 hard teams. You got above average team in the Chargers, but we don't know with 8-8, 9-7-ish. Tua's going to come in with his first start. They're going to lose that game. They're going to come with the Rams, and he's going to get his first career win in Week 8 after he's going to go 1-1 in his first 2 starts. Then we're going to go at the Cardinals here, another loss. I think it's going to be a tough road for the Dolphins this year. Even though they did improve a lot from last year, I think that they do have one of the hardest schedules in the NFL, and it's going to come back to bite them. They're going to get a win here. They're going to get another loss here. Jets are coming off their bye right in this area right here. They're going to come back strong. At the Bengals, that's another win. Joe Burrow, possibly Tua. That's a very exciting matchup. 1 o'clock game is going to be probably one of the most heavily watched games of that week. The Chiefs, this is another loss for me. Patriots, I think, are going to pick up this win at home. Surprise a lot of people. A trap game for the Patriots and Jarrett Stidham. Tua's going to come up clutch, finishing out the season strong. You got a few wins in the last 2 wins in the last 4 games. A loss at the Raiders here, which is another coin flip game. And finally a loss at the Bills, or at home against the Bills. I have a few games here. Well, first of all, I think their record is going to be 5-11. I have a few games here where it could be easily flipped, like the Raiders. The Jets could be flipped. Even somewhere like this Patriots game or the Cardinals, they could potentially go 6-10, even up to 7-9 this season.
Yeah, I think for the Dolphins, the difficult schedule is going to be a main reason that they struggle. As you see, we have a 4-game losing streak in there. because they have a couple of just really hard stretches. So that might be, as you said, when Tua really gets his opportunity.
Noah, anything?
No, I agree. I agree with everything you guys said.
And as I mentioned, Tyler, we all have mentioned before, this is probably the hardest divisional schedule like any division will have. This is the hardest. Each of these teams are in the top 10 of strength of schedule. I believe the Patriots are 1, the Jets are 2, the Bills are in the top 5, Dolphins in the top 10. It's a very mediocre division with 3 teams that are very high question marks, with the Bills being the top of the road. Also a question mark team, but most likely a playoff bound team because they're the favorite by so much to win this division. I have the Bills. We have out of our simulation type prediction here, Bills going 10-6, the Jets coming in second at 8-8, New England 7-9, and the Dolphins at 5-11. And obviously these games could be coin flip. The Jets could finish at 9-7, 6-10. They could finish at 9-7. These are very 3 question mark filled teams right here.
So thanks everyone for watching. Next week we'll be covering the AFC North and the AFC South.
Sorry for the shakiness and the choppiness. It's just our first time. Sometimes if you like what you see, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends if you want to learn more about the game of football, and also go down in the comments and tell us what you want to see next. Next week, Noah said we're going to be doing the North and the South of the AFC, and put in the comment section what you want to see for later dates. Maybe it's fantasy football, maybe it's other stuff, maybe it's the start of the season each week, diving down, maybe even a Madden simulation. But overall, thanks for watching. And Tyler and Noah, anything?
Thank you for watching.
Awesome.
All right, have a good day.
Hey guys, it's Jake from the future here. Just wanted to say that thanks for clicking on this video. We know it was long, we know it was choppy, we know it's boring at times, but just try to stick with us as it was our first time. We're going to cut it down. We're going to be better and better every week. So thanks for clicking on the video. If you made it this far, please go put in the comment section that you did. Like it up, comment what you think we can improve on. It really means a lot.